here we go. Okay. Right, so again, that's simple and compound interest. This is being compounded yearly. So every year, we're recalculating the interest. And in fact, there is a general formula for the ending balance after a certain number of years. And that's what this is. This is right. I just want to move it over a bit. That's, excuse me, better. Oh, boy. All right. So this is compound interest. So you can see that A, again, is still the balance after T years. So A, again, is the balance after T years has passed. Little t, again, that's just times how many years are going by. You know, how long the loan is, or like in the example with the account, how long the money is in the account. P sub 0, that's just the beginning amount. That's what the subscript 0 is supposed to indicate, 0, like beginning. R, again, is the APR. In decimal form though, and N here, that's how many compounding periods there are in 1 year. That's what N is. So in this case, in this example, we compounded yearly. So if we were to use the formula, N would be 1. It's how many times it's compounded in 1 year. And again, what's nice, you don't have to memorize these formulas. Again, you know, they're in the book, in the notes, and, you know, the exams in this class are open book, so. But of course, though, you really want to use a calculator. I mean, your smartphone calculator would be fine. Desmos calculator, you can use that. That's free. So if you ever need help using a calculator, don't be afraid to ask me. I'll be happy to help. So, all right. So here's an example. Let's suppose we have $3,000 and we, in an account, you know, we invest it in an investment account. And that account is paying 4% interest compounded quarterly. We want to know how much will be in the account, or how much will the account be worth. Same thing, you know, how much is in the account is how much it's worth in 15 years. You know, we're rounding our answer to 2 decimal places. So we're going to use this formula here. Namely, the initial amount in the account, right, is $3,000. That's our P0. The interest rate, that's R is 0.04. 4% is the 4%, excuse me, is the interest rate. So R is 0.04. It's being compounded quarterly. That means it's being compounded 4 times a year. So that's 4. Okay, and we want to know how much is in the account 15 years later. So T is 15, so we're using our formula. Okay, we have P sub 0, that's our initial amount, which is $3,000. We have 1 plus R over N. Well, R is 0.04, N is 4, N is 4, and T is 15. Once you do all this, you know, using a calculator, you can get this amount. You get $5,450.09. So that's this example. Good. Again, it's quarterly, so that's why the N is 4. Are there any questions about this one? So I was going to do some others, then let everyone try some. Okay. So here's another one. So now let's say we decide to invest $10,000 in an investment account. Now it's paying 6% interest, and it's compounded monthly. So the APR here, the annual percentage rate, is 6%. Compounded monthly, right? So we determine how much will be in the account, or how much will the account be worth, same thing, in 2 years. Okay, well, the initial amount, how much we invest in the beginning, that's the $10,000. That's our P0. Our R, that's the annual interest rate. The interest rate as a decimal, so that's 0.06. It's being compounded monthly, right? So once a month it's compounded, the account is, so our N is 12. And again, is how many times the account is compounded in a year. We want to know how much is in the account 2 years later, so our T is 2. And that's what this is. P0 times 1 plus R over N raised to the N times our T, which is this. All right, that's good. Okay. So we have this example. Let's now do another one. And the next one, you're actually going to compare how much you'll have between simple interest and compound interest. Although you could probably guess compound interest, you're going to make more money because the interest is higher. So for this one, let's assume we deposit $4,000 into a savings account. Okay. Now, let's say we want to know how much will be in the account 10 years later if the account earns 8% simple interest. So this is simple interest, right? So we have to use the formulas for simple interest, right? Our R is 0.08, our T is 10, P sub 0, that's the initial amount, $4,000. This is the formula we're using, right? That's our total interest that we get, or the total interest if you have simple interest, P0 times R times T. So we have P0 times R times T. So we get $4,000 times 0.08 times 10, right? Again, this is just the formula I'm using. So that's $3,200. That's the interest that's built up. Remember, this isn't a savings account, so this is the interest that we would get from the account, or the interest that's earned in total. Well, the total amount then would be what? It would be the amount that, it would be the initial balance plus the interest. You know, that's the total amount in the account after so many years. So it's the initial amount we put in, add on the interest, we get this amount. This is simple interest. Okay, that's good. But what if it was compounded instead? So instead, it's the same parameters, except now it's being compounded annually. Well, now we're going to have to use this formula. N would be 1 though. And why is that? Because it's compounded annually. Annually means once a year. So using this formula, we have $4,000 times 1 plus 0.08 over N raised to the N times T. N is 1. We want to know how much is in the account T years later. So we get this. And again, this is more than simple interest. That's expected, right? That's what, let me go back to that slide. That's what these calculations were trying to illustrate. The interest keeps on going up each year. You know, that's the idea with compound interest. That's why we're going to have more money. Mostly because the interest is going up. So that's why A would be bigger. All right. Are there any questions on this? Okay. So for this slide here, this one I want everyone to try. So you're going to determine how much is going to be in an account 5 years later if you deposit $10,000 and the account earns 5% interest. So you're going to use the formulas from before. Here, your t, little t, will be 5. You know, that's time. The initial deposit, your P0, is 10,000. And 5%, that's our APR. That's your, if you convert this to a decimal, you'll get R. So you'll do all these here. Annually is once a year. Quarterly, that's 4 times a year. Okay? Monthly is 12 times a year, you know, once a month. And daily is once a day, so that's 365. That's what the ends are. All right. So let me just stop the recording. Okay. And you guys get to try, everyone gets to try this on their own. But I want everyone working, so then I'll wait about 5 minutes and we'll do it together.